Rugby World Rankings, folks. After 3 weeks of November test match action, there are some teams on the move, and the big storylines ahead of the Rugby World Cup draw are becoming a fair bit clearer. We'll go through the changes, possible permutations with another big weekend of rugby ahead, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how fair or not the rankings are. South Africa are there at number 1. There's no change to their points total because they are too far ahead of the Italians to take any points off them. That's the way the system works, but their lead is kind of extended by default because the All Blacks lost. The All Blacks losing to England meant they've dropped a point to England. England has gained a point. That's seen England leapfrog Ireland, and New Zealand, as I said, kind of fall further off the pace from South Africa. So Rugby World Rankings-wise, you do have a very clear front-runner in South Africa. And it kind of looked like New Zealand was that second-place team, kind of slightly ahead of the next chasing pack. But the All Blacks have essentially fallen back within that chasing pack, which is England, which is Ireland, and France. England are the big movers and shakers in terms of, they're on quite the winning run. Their World Rankings points just keep going ever upwards. The Irish are in the same position as the South Africans were with their big win over the Wallabies. The gap is still too big for them to take any points, so despite the fact that it was a record win, no points change for them, so they haven't dropped below the English by losing points. It's just England have now passed Ireland's total. And then France and Argentina are kind of interesting ones at the minute because France dropping points to South Africa a couple of weeks ago saw them fall kind of closer to this cutoff line. Remember, for the next World Cup draw, the top 6 sides will be your top seeds. And France had been kind of comfortably out of the conversation for potentially dropping into this zone. But they are kind of back into that conversation just a little bit. And Argentina, with a couple of good results, have essentially pulled themselves out of that fire. How does this work? Well, France are on 87.07. They did gain points off Fiji. And Argentina are on less points than them, on 85.30. Argentina were in a position genuinely to lose a heap of points to Scotland. They were 21-0 down to Scotland. Scotland is among the Fiji and Wallabies in that chasing pack for those 5th and 6th spots. They want to be these top seeds of the next World Cup. And if Argentina had lost by more than 16 points or 16 points or more to the Scots, which they were looking to do for a while, and then they'd lost next week to England, they would have certainly fallen below someone in this chasing pack. But they came back and won the game. They've managed to take almost a full point off the Scots, which means, as far as I'm aware, Argentina are secure in the top 6. France, not yet, despite the fact that they have more points. That doesn't seem, well, it seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? But the difference is the teams that they are playing in the next round. France are playing Australia, whereas Argentina are playing England. Argentina, if they lose, will not drop many points to England because England are a team ranked decently well above them and England are at home, whereas France are playing the Wallabies, a team ranked decently below them, and France are at home. So the Wallabies will take massive points if they can get a win. The Wallabies would need to win by 16 points or more to threaten France's top 6 spot. But just know that it is possible for France to fall into the second seeds ahead of the next World Cup. It would take a big result. The Wallabies don't look like a team who's going to get a win, let alone a 16-point win. But mathematically, that is on the cards. As far as I'm aware, the other 5 are pretty much set in stone. Fiji did go up, despite losing to France, because the Scots dropped more points than them. So the Scots have dropped below Fiji's total with that disappointing loss. Scotland's had a couple of clutch games in the last 6 months. They travelled to Fiji, good chance to take points during the Lions Tour time. They lost. Now they lost to the All Blacks. They lost to Argentina. They lost all these key games they needed to really threaten for those top 6. So they are not in that race anymore. Likewise, Fiji with their match against Spain coming up, they're not going to get any points from that one. So it's essentially only Australia in with a shot. And Australia didn't lose any points to Ireland because, as I said, they're too far behind. So that's kind of a small mercy despite the result. Other teams are all pretty stable, but there was a big result for Wales because they could have potentially dropped out of the top 12, which would have meant being a 3rd seed at the next World Cup if they had lost to Japan. clock went into the red. They were still losing it. Japan would have passed Wales. So Wales would have had to either beaten the All Blacks or South Africa to get some more points. Or potentially, I guess, hope that Japan lost to Georgia next week. But Wales have kept their fate within their own hands by getting that win. So they're not going to be dropped out of the top 12. They're not going to lose any points if they lose to South Africa or the All Blacks because the sides are so far ahead of Wales. So Wales should be good for those top 12. Japan's race is not over just yet, though, because they are playing Georgia. So they can potentially take points off Georgia. It's a similar situation with like France because Georgia's ranked above Wales. But with Japan taking on Georgia, they could potentially swap enough points to switch places. Elsewhere, everything's pretty steady. The US did get some points off Romania with a decent win over the Romanians away from home. And Samoa, despite not taking any points, are in a battle for that final World Cup spot this week when they take on Belgium. That one is a direct shootout between those two sides. So yeah, upcoming fixtures, Wales against New Zealand. If New Zealand get the expected win, no change to anyone's points. It would be catastrophic for New Zealand's points total if they were to lose to Wales. Fiji can take points off Spain, but it's really, really minimal. So it's not going to make much impact on the world rankings. Ireland against South Africa is a massive one. But in the context of the World Cup draw, as I said, it's not going to make much difference because these guys are all set in stone as top seeds. But, Ireland could certainly pass England or possibly New Zealand, depending on the margin, if they were to get a win, like a small win or a big win. South Africa will just extend their lead. If they get a win over Ireland, they'll be getting pretty close, if not passing Russie's previously high total. He had a 94-point-something total before. So they'll be getting very close to that margin if they can get that done. Italy won't take any points off Chile in their match. And as I said, France, they'll get some minimal points off the Aussies if they win, but boy, will they drop some points if they lose. Top 6 spot is on the line on that one. Scotland won't take any points off Tonga. And then the other one, as I said, Japan against Georgia is a chance for Japan. Japan have had some big games. Like, for a side outside the top 12 teams in the world, they do get some good fixtures. They need to win one, though. And it's Georgia. They've got as a potential chance to genuinely get some world rankings points. But there you go, folks. How fair or not do you reckon these rankings are? Can you see any of the big kind of upsets at the weekend? Can you see the Aussies getting away win? Can Wales break like more than 50 years of history, 60 years? What is it, 1953? And pull off a miracle against a wounded All Black side? Argentina's not usually had very good luck against England. Can they break Borthwick's run? And Ireland against South Africa, the two teams in green. I'm assuming one team will be in white, but that's always a cracking one as well. You guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later. Also, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, could you subscribe? We're like 700 subscribers away from 100,000. That'd be pretty cool. Take care.